That's good. Okay. Oh, can you confirm if you can see the screen?
Yes, Prabhu, it is.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Bhagwan. Oh, yes, you see, Radharani. Okay, this is original sound. So, Prabhu, you are hearing the sound clearly, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Can you? Okay, thank you, Prabhu. This is beautiful song written by Nardan Das Thakur. Very beautiful, extremely beautiful song, and I love it the most. So let us chant. While I'm chanting, you can also chant, keeping yourself muted. But that's powerful, you know, bhajan written by Narottam Das Thakur. So let us do together. Radha Krishna Pran More Jugala Kishora Radha. Slow. Radha Krishna Pran More Jugala Kishora. जीवाने माराने गति आरो नहीं मोरा जीवाने माराने गति राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोरा कालिंदी रेकुले केली कादम्बेरा बाना कालिंदी कादम्बे कालिंदी रेकुले केली कादम्बेरा बाना कालिंदी राकुले केली कादम्बेरा बाना रतना बेदीरा ऊपर बसाबो दोई जाना ना पायरा ऊपर बसाबो दोई जाना राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोर राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोर श्यामा गौरियांगे दिबे चंदनेरा गंधा श्यामा अंगे दिबे श्यामा गौरी अंगे दिबे चंदनेरा गंधा श्यामा चमरा झुलाबो कबे हेरिबो मुख चंद्र I can't even sing मरा झुलाबो कबे हेरिबो चमरा झुलाबो काबे हेरिबो मुख चंद्र चमरा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोर राधा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोर गाथिया माला तीर माला दिबा दोहार गाले गातिया मेला तीर माला दिबा दोहार गाले आधारे तुलिया दिब कर्पूर तांबूले आधारे तुलिया दिब कर्पूर तांबूले राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोर ओ राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर ललिता विशाखायादि जट सखी वृंदा ललिता विशाखायादि जट सखी वृंदा ललिता विशाखायादि जट सखी वृंदा ललिता आ गया करीबे सेवा चरण रविंद आ गया आ गया करीब सेवा चरण रविंद राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोरा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोरा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासरानुदासा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासरानुदासा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दसरा नुदासा श्री कृष्ण सेवाया विलास करे नरोत्तम दासा সেবায়াধি কর করে নরোত্তম দাসা সেবা राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोरा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरे जुगल किशोरा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोरा Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Radha Krishna Pran More Jugala Kisora Radha. O Radha Krishna Pran More Jugala Kisora. जय जय श्री श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर भगवान की जय. So devotees, can we read the translation? Meanwhile, I need to little bit change myself some positions because I can't sit on the floor for a long time. So please read the translation. Meanwhile, I can set everything up. Okay? Please go ahead, do so. The screen is there.
Thank you, Prabhu. The divine couple Sri Sri Radha and Krishna is my life and soul. In life or death, I have no other refugee but them.
In the in a forest of small kadamba tree on the bank of the Yamuna, I will seat the divine. It disappeared. Sorry, I um I will seat the divine couple on a throne made up of brilliant jewels.
I will anoint their dark and fair forms with sandalwood paste scented with chuya, and I will fan them with a chamara whisk. Oh, when will I behold their moonlight faces?
After stringing together garlands of malati flowers, I will place them around their necks, and I will offer tambula scented with camphor to their lotus mouths.
With the permission of all the Sakhis, added by Lalita and Vishaka, I will serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna.
There's nobody to laugh. There's nobody left.
I can read it, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Narottama
read, read.
Dasa, the servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, longs for this service to the divine couple.
Yeah, yes, it's Narottam Das Thakur ki. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna for reading this. Let me share my screen here. Hare Krishna. Can you see the screen, Ravi Prabhu?
Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Bhagwan. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jayamudirayat nasta prayasva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama bhakti bhavati nastaki. जय 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 श्री ग्रंथराज भागवतम की जय कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपा कुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः जय 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 श्री ग्रंथराज भागवतम की. So I'm not going to take too much time, rather I'll get into the discussion, and it's very powerful verse that we are supposed to read today. I did not basically know about it, that I'll be giving the class, but I'll try my best to give you some insight, because this is very important concept that is embedded with this particular verse. Especially the purport is very rich. So we'll just get into the discussion. Katham alakchitah paure sampraptam kuru janglan unmatmuk jadavad vicharam gajasahe kamalakchitah paure sampraptah kuru janglan unmukta kaja unmukta jadavad विचारन सजा गजा गजसाहये कथम अलक्षितः पौरे संप्राप्तः कुरुजंगलान् उन्मत्तः मुका जदावद विचारन गजसाहये. So translation is that how was he bracket Srila Sukdev Goswami, the son of Vyas, recognized by the citizens when he entered the city of Hastinapur. Gaj Sahaye, Gaj Sahaye, the city which is named after Gaja. Gaja here is elephant. Now so-called Delhi. After wandering in the provinces of Kuru and Jangla, Kuru and Jangla, Kuru Jangalam, you see in the verses, Katham Alakshita Pore Samprapta Kuru Jangalam. So Kurujanglam is a province of Kuru and Jangla, appearing like a madman, dumb and retarded. So how Srila Sukadeva Goswami was perceived by the inhabitants of Hastinapur while he was walking like a madman, dumb and retarded person. Purport. The present city of Delhi was formerly known as Hastinapur because it was first established by King Hasti. Goswami Sukdev, after leaving his parental home, was roaming like a madman, and therefore it was very difficult for the citizens to recognize him. in his exalted position. A sage is not therefore recognized by sight but by hearing. One should approach a sadhu or a great sage not to see him but to hear him. If one is not prepared to hear the words of a sadhu, there is no profit. Sukdev Goswami was a sadhu who could speak on the transcendental activities of the Lord. He did not satisfy the whims of ordinary citizens. He was recognized when he spoke on the subject of Bhagavatam, and he never attempted jugglery like a magician. Outwardly, he appeared to be a retarded dumb madman, but in fact, he was the most elevated transcendental personality. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः मुखं करोति वाचालां पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातदहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्याईश्वरं नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णाप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांतो स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। कलयुग पावन धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय 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 श्री श्री गौरंग महाप्रभु की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। असेंबल भक्त वृंद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य ही डिवाइन शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेम नंदी हरि हरि बोल। Dear devotees, thank you so much for your participation. Bhagavatam is our life and soul, and all the basic conduct that we have in our dealings, in our day-to-day life, how to act, how to behave, how to talk, it has to go beyond our personal preference. What it feels like, what it uh, look like, what makes sense. Rather, the purpose of a devotee, a serious sadhaka, a person who is trying to obtain the love, pure love, unalloyed love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then mental concoction has to get out. Personal preferences, liking and disliking, has to be dropped out. And we have to try to align our life with the instructions of Guru Shastra and Sadhu. Guru Shastra Sadhu Vakya Tineta Kariya Yakya. Who is going to be successful? Who will be ultimately successful in their bhakti? The one who has aligned their life activities with the instructions of Guru, Shastra and Sadhu. So through this particular purport, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada has given us a very powerful teaching. And teaching is that how a pure devotee conduct. When pure devotee is dealing with the outward situations, outwardly people or people of this world, how a pure devotee should deal with it. This is very powerful theme, and I would have given you more insight, but given the time, I have some information that I would like to share, and we'll maybe in future session we'll try to talk on these things. There is a lot of this is the basically kind of main thing that we have to learn, how to conduct our life, okay, to be a serious sadhaka. And there are multiple writing Nectar of Instructions teaches us, Nectar of Devotion by translation of Srila, Rupa Goswami Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu teaches us. And also there are other writings, like Bhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami, that teaches us that how a devotee should behave. Raghunadas Goswami through his Manasiksha teaches us that how one should act. So this acharan, how one should act, is very important. And sometimes when we are acting, we might not be perceived in the right way. And that's the point, is being made here, that how a pure devotee is being perceived by ordinary people. But he is beyond of, all of that type of perception that people have around him. So just to kind of go back to the theme. So this is chapter 4, talking about appearance of Narad Muni to instruct Sukadeva Goswami. And in this particular chapter, basically sages are asking, more questions. So we all have very much in depth gone through all the 6 questions asked by sages under the presence of Sonak Rishi. And all of those 6 questions, we very nicely learn their answers. And then they are asking more questions. They are asking questions about Bhagavatam, that when, where, and how, and who inspired Sukadeva Goswami to talk this Amlam Puranam. Bhagavatam is Amlam Puranam. So what inspired Sukadeva Goswami to deliver this message? And then some pastime and activities of Parikshit Maharaj. And finally, they are asking that how Sukadeva Goswami, who was a mendicant, and previous classes we have been hearing, that he was walking naked, not aware with the body of a man or body of a woman, So material world has a multiple promises that it has for the human being, for the living being. And one of the promise that this material world has for the living being is that concept of relativity or duplicity or duality. And unfortunately, our understanding and our intelligence is also based on the concept of duplicity or duality. We understand everything, in terms of certain, reference. In the math, they say that reference line, x dash and y dash, and you have origin 0 0, and from there, points have a, if it's 2-dimensional system, then it has 2 coordinate, x and y, coordinate. If it's 3-dimensional, then it has 3 coordinate, x y z, and all of that position is from the reference point. Okay, so in the material world also, the things that is basically existing around us, it is based on the concept of certain reference. Good is good because there is something bad. Okay, but that good is it ultimate good, or just the good? That's the point. My behavior has been very good. Yeah, it is good. It's good in reference to the people who are bad. But am I really acting in a very ultimate good way, right? So pure devotees, they don't work in a relative reference. They don't act within the concept of duality. It's very important point, my dear devotees. If you can really let it go inside, a pure devotee is the one who does not act on the concept of and that's what Krishna is saying, that what is the subject of the Veda? Triguna Visaya Veda. The subject of the Veda is this three guna. Nirgunya Bhava Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, you go beyond this guna. Second chapter, So the subject of the Veda is basically these 3 gunas. Okay. But Arjun, my recommendation for you, or pure devotee in this particular case is that, you know, cross these three gunas. So whenever we are talking about exalted personality like Sukadeva Goswami, he is not within the jurisdiction of these three gunas. Okay, so we who have a concept whose intelligence is based on the concept of relativity, poor, richness. Richness is relative against, you know, poverty. But someone who is beyond this guna, how we can understand the behavior of that person. And in nutshell, that's the important point that His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada is trying to, you know, emphasize through his purport. So, Sukadeva Goswami, how he met, how he was perceived by the residents of Hastinapur, and then finally how he met Parikshit Maharaj. So, from chapter 4 all the way chapter 19 is the part of the first canto, and chapter 19 finishes when Parikshit Maharaj meets Sukadeva Goswami. And then after that, from Canto 2, you know, Prakshit Maharaj is asking how to leave this body. And when I'm living in this material world, then how I should live. So those are the questions that he is asking. And then from there, second canto begins forward. So the verse that we just read, in fact, raises the question number 3, where Sonak Rishi and his Sonak Rishi Adi, Sonak, you know, rishis and other rishis, they are asking these questions that how Sukadeva Goswami, who was walking naked, not having the any concept of duality, was perceived by the residents of Hastinapur. My dear devotees, the residents of Hastinapur were not so-called, you know, so-called uh, materialistic people like we have in our today's societies. So these people were not ordinary people, but of course not all of them were pure devotee. So what I'm trying to make a point here is that how a pure devotee is perceived by someone who is little advanced or much advanced than us, but not maybe a pure devotee. So the first part of the, you know, paragraph Prabhupada says that the present city of the Delhi was formerly known as Hastinapur because it was first established by King Hasti, Goswami Sukdev, after leaving his paternal home. So we have so far, you know, learned about, you know, Sukdev Goswami leaving his home, leaving his father Vyasdev, and then was roaming like a madman. And therefore, it was very difficult for the citizens to recognize him in his exalted position. So when you read this statement, right away you remember Rishabdev Maharaj. So please, little bit, you know, we just finished reading Bhagavatam, pastime of Rishabdev Maharaj. So please, you know, now we start reminding, you know, and running in the back of your mind the personality of Rishabdev Maharaj. Rishabdev Maharaj was completely renounced. He had nothing to do with anything that's existing around. He was walking naked, and you know, his stool will be so fragrant that miles and miles there will be beautiful fragrance around. So you know, his urine, and he will be basically living in a filthy place, but still wherever he will go, the fragrance will come. So Rishabdev Maharaj was in fact Lord himself, Satyavasya avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Hari. And Sukadeva Goswami is Mahajan, Mahajana Jena Gato Se Panta. What is the path that want to be followed? Matrivat Pardaresu, Pardarvesu Lostuvat, Atnavat Sarabhute Swayam Pasati Sapandita. These personalities are Maha Pandit, beyond, you know, Pandita quality. So he is walking like a madman, and it was very difficult for the citizens to recognize his exalted position. Then here, important point, it says is not therefore recognized by sight, but by hearing. One should approach a sadhu or a great sage not to see, but to hear him. One is not prepared to hear the word of a sadhu. If one is not prepared to hear the words of a sadhu, there is no profit. So, more than seeing, the hearing is emphasized. And I'm sure all of you are very familiar with Bapu versus Wani. So Wani is more powerful than Bapu. Bapu is also very important, okay? But if we are in a situation where we can't have the physical association, then we associate through Wani. Are we associating with Vyasdev? Yes. Are we associating with Krishna? Yes. Grantharaj, Bhagavatam is Grantha Avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, yes, these are the words of Vyasdev, these are the words of our dear Lord, Sri Krishna, and Sukdev Goswami is talking to Parikshit Maharaj. So, maybe we do not have a Bapu type of association, but through word of great Acharya, we have a deep association. Um, there is a very beautiful instance mentioned in one of the scripture by Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. He says that how to recognize a pure devotee, and in nutshell, he's trying to say that 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 a pure devotee is one, of course, uh, who who has understanding of Shastra. He's seeing things through the chakshu of shastra chakshu. At the same time, a pure devotee acts on that particular teaching. So he's saying that when you have to accept somebody as a pure devotee, you should have some understanding, and you should always aspire to associate with a pure devotee. Raghunath Goswami is saying that one should always aspire to associate with pure devotee. And then he says, what are the symptoms of the pure devotee? But some of the points that he mentioned is that hearing, when you hear from a pure devotee, it will basically, penetrate in your heart. The same word, if you hear from somewhere else, and the same word, if you are hearing from a pure devotee, the words that are coming out of the mouth of a pure devotee, it's coming with the potency of that devotee, and then it penetrates. It's coming with the purification that devotee has acquired through the process of bhakti. So hearing, when you hear from a pure devotee, it will very much shake you up. It will very much start shaking you. Here is another very important thing. Our hearing can be on multiple levels. Sometimes we are just hearing in a very ignoring way. Oh, Ramacharya, what he can talk. No, it's okay. Let's get through this. It's already 7:45, 15 more minutes to go. He'll be gone. So it's very ignoring way of hearing. Okay. And then there is other type of hearing where you are just hearing. You have some respect, but you are not really, trying to get the message. The higher than that is a hearing where, oh my gosh, I lost the thought pattern. So higher than that is a hearing, yeah, which is making your intellectual curiosity. Okay, sometimes too intellectual type of a talk. This is, he talks very intellectual. So if I'm talking on the intellectual basis, it's going to capture your intellect. It's going to satisfy the need of your intellect. Okay, but the perfect hearing is that a speaker should be talking on the platform of pure devotion. So when he is talking, when he is expressing each and every statement, each and every concept, he's not making those concepts to meet the need of the intellect. Rather, he is talking to fulfill the request of the heart, and it's coming from his devotional platform, and then from his devotional platform it's getting into our heart. So it's kind of devotional exchange rather than intellectual exchange or mental exchange or any other form of exchange. Okay, so when you are in the association of a pure devotee, exchange should be devotional. When we are hearing, it should be like really on the very devotional platform. So that's the point Nada Swami makes, and then he says that also a pure devotee is the one who not only talks but acts also. His acharan should be higher, very very high. At least he should be at the platform of the Utmadhikari. So Isopnisad and the Nectar of Instruction gives the symptoms of Kanishta, Madhma and Utmadhikari. So please get some time to read the symptoms of Utmadhikari. So at least a pure devotee should be acting on the platform of what he is saying, and that's what we are seeing, who could not only speak on the transcendental activity of the Lord, but he was in fact personal example of how devotional life should be performed. He did not satisfy the whims of the ordinary citizens. He was recognized when he spoke on the subject of Bhagavatam, and he never attempted jugglery like a magician. So sometimes, as we are trying to be a preacher, we are trying to share the science of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, we try to say things that is going to appeal the audience. But here Prabhupada is making a point that he did not satisfy the whims of the ordinary citizens. So audience will have their own requirement. They may come up with a mindset that I want to hear more about Astang yoga or other types of yoga, not about bhakti yoga. But the point that is being made here is that a pure devotee or a devotee, although he gets successful or he does not get successful, okay, he always talks pure devotional service. He always talks the science of pure devotional service. In today's society, devotees are trying to come up with so many different types of means and methods to preach the people. But see how many Western devotees Srila Prabhupada had when he came to this Western world. And look at and hear Prabhupada's class. Prabhupada would always, read verses. If you hear his classes, in every classes he will hear Sanskrit verses. Sukdev Goswami says here this. Rishabdev Maharaj is saying here this. Prithu Maharaj is saying, mostly verses, Prabhupada, citing the verses, quoting the verses. So that's another important thing. A devotee always talks based on the reference. We do not whimsically, I think like, I feel like it make, no, then that talk is not going to have any potency. You might, for instance, for a moment, you might win the heart of your audience, but you are not transforming their heart. So as a speaker, as a preacher, we should always try to adhere with the basic of teaching, which means trying to present as a postman. Whatever we have got, whatever we have learned and heard, we should just try to repeat as it is. Outwardly, he appeared to be a retarded, dumb madman, but in fact, he was the most elevated transcendental personality. Again, a person who is beyond this three guna, he has, basically this type of behavior. So we can see here that Sukdev Goswami is beyond this, relativity that exists around. So what I would like to do, I have very little time left. I don't know if I can go too far down. I would just try to give some of the insight to help us understand. This is our gold standard here, right here. We should always, aspire to be like some of these personalities, six Goswamis and some of our acharyas, okay? But then uh, we have to basically go there. And how we go there, we have to have a pathways, okay? So I'll just try to little bit, give some insight that how the process of purification begins. What are the certain things that we have to watch in our life so that we can elevate to higher consciousness. So this slide is very basic slide, which talks that karma is coming from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, how the concept of karma works, like prarabdha karma and aprarabdha karma, and it says that whatever action you do, that action is basically going to have some reaction, and then that reaction instigates other action, and that action again kind of get into another reaction. So it's kind of cycle of repeated action and reactions. And a human being who are not sensitive, they get caught into this cycle of action and reaction. And what that does is that keep on binding, and so much binding that the intelligence and activity of the man has become completely gross. In Patanjali, it has been cited that there are 5 major causes for human being to act in a very sinful way. Okay, that's avidya, asmita, raga, dvesta, and aunivesha. So I'm not going to get into detail of that, but the but these 5 factors are the factors which is making us suffer like crazy, and uh, putting us in a cycle where we are coming going, not aware what is right, what is wrong. So all of this coming because of these 5 causes. Avidya, which is, all of that great ignorance that living being has. And what are those ignorance? Not knowing who we are, all types of ignorance that So what this 5 factor does is that these inspire a soul to act into sinful activity. Okay, and what are the and devotee also may have some of these in a very subtle way. Okay, so first and foremost, my humble request is that we should at least try to get rid of all the sinful activity uh, that that we might have in our life. Okay, that's stage number 1. See, I don't know, but please do some introspection and try to see uh, that is there something in my life that is still considered sinful. That has to first worked out. Okay, which means making sure that I mean, most of us do not have meat eating type of thing. So I'm sure that we might not have a lot of sinful activity in our life, but if there is any, we should try to get rid of that. Okay, so that we are not creating a perpetuating cycle of suffering. Okay, at least we are stopping this cycle of karma. Okay, so that has to happen. We need to first see if we have some sinful activity that's happening in our lives. And then once you are conquered the sinful activity, then these anarthas comes. And anarthas are not like sinful activity. Sinful activity is like raping somebody, killing animal, being very mischievous, and all of that kind of uh, very menial activity that one can get. So most of the devotee, you can safely assume, if they have been practicing Krishna consciousness for few years, they do not have mostly sinful activity, gross sinful activity, but these anarthas exist with us. Okay, so there are 4 kinds of anartha. It's coming from Bhakti Rahasya by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So there are 4 types of anartha that exist in our life. Okay, and the first one is called asat trishna, and asat trishna is thirst for asat, thirst for something which is not permanent. And what are some of the example? Desire for material objects, still thinking that my job will make me better devotee. What is 10 offenses? 10 offenses is that knowing all of these and still thinking and having the strong material desire is one of the offense against the supreme personality of Godhead. So developing some detachment for the things of the material world is very, very important. Desire for the heavenly comfort, ritualistic activity, engaging into karma khandic activity, so that when I leave this body, I go to heavenly planet. Not only human, not only you and I, but there are some religious practices. I'll just try to finish this slide today. I have some more information, but I think if I can do that today, that will be sufficient. Please give me some time. So I'm running a little fast. Sorry for that. So desire for heavenly comfort is basically engaging into certain type of activity that is going to give a you know uh, heavenly life. It could be some show called religious activity. There are school who are teaching people to get engaged into this type of thing. Desire for mystic power, yoga, sastang yoga, and all of that we talk. This is all asatrishna, and even a desire for liberation. These 5 types of liberation that we are talking about: Sayuja Mukti, Salokya Mukti, Samipya Mukti, Sar Srishti. All of these, liberation. All of these are asatrishna. Okay, it's basically desire for impermanent thing. So a devotee should not have this asatrishna. As long as we have a desire. And not to criticize, but sometimes I hear even some of our friends saying that, oh, there is no problem going to Lord Ganesh or somebody else and saying that give me bhakti of Krishna. The sadh and sadhya, the means and goal is the same. So if we have to basically get the bhakti of Krishna, why not we go to Krishna? Why to go somewhere else? Okay, so some of these things are basically little kind of uh, confidential or deep to really kind of intertwine in our understanding. But the point here is that at least I'm trying to share that some of this desire, you know uh, we have to conquer. Unless and until uh, we don't conquer these anarthas, we are not advancing into the next stage. So what is the anartha? Anartha nivritti is one of the stage. Sadhu sangha, bhajan, first shraddha, then sadhu sangha, then bhajan kriya, and then anartha nivritti. So bhajan kriya and anartha nivritti, they are next to each other. All of us have shraddha for sure. We are associating with sadhu. We are engaged in the bhajan kriya. Bhajan kriya, if the bhajan kriya has been done or has been happening in a very organized way, then it should help us to conquer this anartha nivritti. So this is the fourth basically a stage on the advancement ladder. So we are talking about how to come out of this anartha nivritti. Gross senses has to get out of our life, and then we have to start dealing with this anartha. So asat trishna is one category of anartha nivritti, and then the second one is hridaya dorbalyam, weakness of the heart. And weakness of the heart, you will see that envy. Do we have envy? Yes. Where oh, this person has become XYZ, how I mean he's getting so much name and fame, whatever it is. So this envy is there. Desire for fame, puja labh and pratistha. Okay, people should think that I'm a very advanced devotee. People should think that I'm whatever XYZ. Deceitfulness or fault finding. The Hridaya Daurbalyam basically provokes one to have this mentality. And I have a lot of experience. People, you know, personally uh, trying to, find fault. Instead of, you work hard to make something happen, they would not talk about the good part. And they will just come and talk about the fault. Oh, you did this thing, XYZ thing was wrong. My dear devotee, yeah, we are in the material world and fault will be there. It will stay with us. But see what are the good qualities devotee have. Krishna is seeing their good quality, then why we are seeing faults? Yes. In the material world, we can't be perfect. Okay, so this fault finding most of the time comes when we are trying to put somebody down. And when we are trying to put somebody down, that's Hridaya Daurbalyam, not form faith in Krishna, thinking that there is something else that I can do by my personal management. Okay, so that's nothing but Hridaya Daurbalyam. And then attachment to the objects which are unrelated to Krishna. That also comes up the part of the Hridaya Daurbalyam. And then the third one is Tattva Vibhramaha, which means misunderstanding of the Tattva, misunderstanding of the spiritual truth. Okay, and what is that? Who we are. Are we ready to accept that we are the soul? If we are accepting that we are the soul, then we should be acting on the platform of the soul. And also not having the understanding that who the Lord is. Okay, who is real Lord? Is it Shiva? Is it Brahma? Is it Ganesha? Who is, so there is always some misunderstanding about the tattva, who is the supreme personality of Godhead, and overall the whole misunderstanding about the process of devotional service. And that all of these items can be itself in a all of these bullet point can be a class itself. But just to kind of give you some snap of it, that lot of misunderstanding about the devotional service, lot of misunderstanding, tons of misunderstanding. And that is why nectar of instruction and nectar of devotion becomes our principal books, which gives us that what exactly is the process of devotional service. And misunderstanding related to the subject which are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Okay, so these are tattva vibhrama. And then the last one is aparad, basic aparad, normal aparad that we do. And aparads are offenses against the holy name. Okay, we do have offenses that we do against the holy name. Holy name is Krishna himself. Nam Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Suddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatva Nam Namino Iti Sudaskam Nam Nam Kali Kalmasam Nasanam. All of these verses that's saying that Kali Kalmasam Nasanam, all Kalmasam Nasanam, Kalmasam is basically sewage, in this in summertime sewage basically starts kind of bubbling, it's kind of jumping, and you will see all the insects swimming into it. So Kali, Kali is like the Kalmasam, it's like that, it's filled with all the filthy stuff. It's boiling, it's smelling. But all of that can be destroyed, can be Kalmasam Nasanam is Iti Sudaskam Nam Nam. This 16th syllable of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In Madhurya Kadamini, Harinam Chintamani, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that just by chanting the holy name, which form faith, everything else will come. Okay, so I don't want to get into too much of that, but we do have the offenses against the holy name, offenses to the Lord's deity form. Okay, we have, all of us have deity at our house. Okay, the deity in our house should be the owner of the house. The most vibrant room or place in your house should be the place where you have the deity, and they should be considered like they are a person. Krishna and Balaram, Radha, Shyam Sundar, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. Don't think them that they are deity. They are person. And when guest is coming at your house, how you are doing, exactly try to have that type of mood, dealings, exchanging our thoughts and feelings and problems. My dear Lord, I have so much issue, kindly help me. I can't remember, kindly help me so that I can become a pure devotee. Help me so that I can take my all the anarthas out, begging every day, 20 times, 30 times, 50 times, every time as you are getting into the just uh, don't get into your D2 room and start doing things. As you get into the room, bow down on the floor, then you do something. If you are going 100 times in your DT room, 100 times you bow down. See them as a person. Keep everything around them like a, vibrant, and the most attractive place in our house should be the DT room. All the opulence should be there, and if there is something, yes, you keep in your room. So DT should be taken care very, very nicely, very, very carefully. This is basically one of the principal limb out of the five, limb of the sadhana bhaktas. And then offenses to devotee. And I do have that. Although my intent is always to help devotee, I personally do not have problem with anybody, but sometimes I do say things that I feel like that devotee do not like, or maybe it hurts devotee feeling. So I'm so sorry if my behavior has been like that. Please forgive me. I can't move a step up without your mercy and without your blessing. So kindly forgive if I have done any offense at your feet. I'm also one of the person out of so many person who are suffering. Okay, suffering and trying to basically come out of the suffering. That's all I'm trying. So in that endeavor, there might have been tons of offensive activity that I might have done. But we should be always kind of begging the forgiveness that yes, I do have some offensive behavior, not thinking that I have conquered it. Everybody else has offense. I do not have offense. No, never, never. You know, uh, a perfect spiritual master is one who thinks that he is a disciple of his disciple. Okay, some of these things we'll talk later. So developing a mood of being, disciple of the all, living being that you are seeing around. So always, trying to give that teaching to ourselves that all I have to do, only one thing I have to do for all the living being, and what is that? Serve, serve. Okay, that's what we have to do. How we serve it, whichever way you find, possible to serve that person, to inspire that person to come to Krishna. That's the highest most service. Nam Ruchi Jivadaya Sarvadharma Sar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Nam Ruchi Jivadaya. So having that, what is the Jivadaya? This is one of the symptoms of a Utmadhikari. Prithu Maharaj in his teaching, Kapil Dev in his teaching, Rishabdev Maharaj in his teaching, all of these, Sakyavasya avatar of the Lord, read their, teaching. They are saying that if you love me, love all of my creation. Krishna has not created anything that is obsolete. He has not created anything that has no purpose. So my dear devotees and friend, try to find the purpose. Okay, you are here in my reference frame, some purpose. You are correcting me, you are teaching me. Okay, you are helping me elevate my consciousness. So live a purposeful life, not live a life which is ignoring the facts. As a devotee, we have to develop our sensitivity. And what is our sensitivity? To be able to correlate, to be able to find the meaning that is, around. Okay, we have, that's how you conquer the material world. Krishna is saying that that if you want to come to me, you have to come beyond these gunas. And it's not like that you just limp over it or jump over it. No, it's not like that. Finding proper use, harmonization of everything, and then using it uh, in a bona fide way to uh, come across it and take everything towards Krishna. Find everything, find purpose in everything towards service of Krishna. That's called Yukt Vairagya. Yukt Vairagya concept is very powerful concept. Okay, so utility is the principle, and the Yukt Vairagya concept is based on this principle, that how to find the utility in everything that is existing around. And then the last one is offenses to other living entity. I have been kind of talking about that. So these are some of the anarthas that in our sadhana, in our day-to-day life, we need to focus on. I had some more slide, but I think it's already 8:11. Why it's very important to understand what we can learn from the past time of Rishabh, what we can learn from the past times of Sukadeva Goswami. Just by praising Sukadeva Goswami is so great. It's very important. But at the same time, trying to know that what are the basic thing, what are some of the things that in our day-to-day dealings I need to conquer over, so that slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, I'm advancing in my consciousness. Your consciousness should be a dynamic system, dynamic, object. It has to move. Where I was 10 years back, I was not, there at the 5 years, not 3 years before, not 2 years before. Where I was few days back, I should not be today. So my dear devotees, let's just strive for it. And then things will, Krishna is always with us, and he is always uh, to guide us and take us where we want to go. So I did not really cover everything that I wanted to talk in this particular verse. I wanted to cite some of the commentary from some of our acharyas to at least give you a kind of roadmap that what are the things that will take us to the point where we can see things as it is. Okay, unfortunately, we are running too late, but maybe in some of my future classes, I'll try to bring some of those things. So with that, I would like to give a pause. Once again, I'm so sorry. I had to rush a little bit because I was not, I took already some time chanting the bhajan. It's beautiful bhajan. I like, some of the songs written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur. Those songs are, essence of the Shastra. So please, also try to develop some taste with those, songs. Read it, in your, time, whenever time you have, and learn from some of those things. So with that, I would like to conclude here. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna, and thank you for giving me opportunity today to share some of my understanding. With that, I would like to give a pause. Is there any questions, any corrections, any comments before we adjourn today?
I just
Okay.
really like the entire presentation. It's very
Oh, you were
inspirational.
here, Prabhu? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was very inspiring, Prabhu, to hear such a lecture
Oh,
after a long time. You brought up so many valuable, wonderful points that as a devotee that we all have to practice and be conscious. When we come into Krishna consciousness, we get attracted in some aspects that keeps us in Krishna consciousness. But over a period of the time, due to the familiarity and things, we get lost and go back to our you know previous anarthas and things like that. It comes in the same anarthas comes in the form of into the Krishna consciousness as well, which is going to be a big problem for all of us if we don't consciously and cautiously be aware of our things. So you brought up many valuable points, and also another point you mentioned, which I really liked, is about the Vani Vapu thing, that when we hear from some devotees, the same message impacts us, the pure devotees. And that's a nice point as well. And also you clarified that the same thing on saying that, everyone is aspiring to be a pure devotee. So we don't need to, we are, at the same time, we should not be thinking, I will only hear from sannyasis, I will only hear from 100% pure devotees. That's, many of us in our life, most of us, I guess, at least in my case, I did not become a devotee by hearing or by the association of, the sannyas. It was by, like, people like us. One of the person who just spoke to me. So we should value every devotee's association and their lectures and their messages and things also, that which you made also clear. So many beautiful points you brought up. I just can go on with my lecture on just appreciating your presentation. But let me say thank you so much for the nice, beautiful presentation.
thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just, I was, uh,
I think one last point, Prabhu. I think you
yeah.
should start giving class without preparing. You said this was not your in your schedule, but it came out so beautiful, so wonderful.
Ah, yeah, I know. In fact, I just last night I sent message to Roy Prabhu saying that Roy Prabhu, Benu Prabhu is not here. My health is not good. I'm not feeling good. But then in the morning I got up. I said, no, no, no. I should do. So I just, decided that okay. So I'll just, talk. I have, kind of studied this particular verse. So I thought, okay, I should have something already that I can present. So thank you so much, everybody. Any other comments and questions? Please forgive me. I'm not trying to be uh, a man who has figured everything out. As I, said before, that I myself is suffering a lot. So many, anarthas but by mercy of all the devotees, I may be able to, little bit have some understanding. So these are none of these are my thing. It's all coming from our acharyas. What the slide that I'm sharing with you is exactly coming from Bhakti, Rahasya by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So yeah, so these are very important thing for us to.
I
This is
just
this is a roadmap. Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
just remembered when you said you're yourself suffering a lot. I remembered Rompal Maharaj saying that one time he said, the like attracts like. Okay. He said this for a different context, without details. Your disease, I'm also diseased, so we are attracted with each other.
Yeah,
So with this attraction, we can work together towards Krishna. I think we are a good team here. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. Anybody would like to say anything? Bina Mataji, did you
Hare
say
Krishna,
something?
Prabhuji.
I feel like okay, yeah, Hare Krishna.
Uh, Prabhuji, Gopal Prabhuji gave words to my thought. It was beautiful presentation, and it's always um, I always get inspired to hear from you, and everything that you said and presented today had so much value to me. I just can't say enough of it. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm getting old, I have a lot of pains right now in my leg, and I don't know what will happen, but all of my, anarthas and bad karmas, it's kind of coming back. Thank you so much. Can we adjourn here then, if there is nothing? Thank you. वंशकल्पातरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः Assemble भक्तवृंद की जय इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य हिज भांगे शिला प्रभुपाद की जय 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 श्री श्री राधेश